In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Marianne's guests are leaders in their field, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in their own work. They teach others to develop, refocus, and grow. Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. And remember, make every moment count.
Welcome to Moments with Marianne. I'm so excited we're spending this time here today. We've got quite a show lined up for you. Our first guest is none other than Byron Katie, and she's here today to talk to us about loving what is, which also happens to be a workshop that she's hosting at Omega. So many of you probably have heard of Omega. We're really excited because here at Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, we are just partnering with Omega, and they offer workshops and online classes in regards to mind, body, spirit, health and healing, creative expression, family and relationships, leadership and work, and sustainable living. So Byron Katie's here today to talk to us about loving what is. Welcome to the show, Byron Katie.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. Thank you.
Oh, what a joy it is to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to have this conversation with you, and I really look forward to being in that area in Omega. And that I go. I've been going once a year for quite a while now, and it's I love it. It's so beautiful.
Well, I know there's such a amazing place for personal enlightenment and to just work on your journey, that inner journey that we all strive to just continue to master. Well, I have to ask you. Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm trying to say, and we get to meet so many people, so many different people in the world. I'm always so surprised to see the vast, I don't know, like so many different countries and people, know about the Omega event, so they do for my event, and it's always just so thrilling to watch everyone bond and meet each other, and as we drop so deeply into inquiry.
Well, and I can't think of a better place or person to do this kind of journey than you. And so I know the title of the whole theme of this next workshop is Loving What Is. What developed this workshop for you?
Well, I had an experience a little more than 30 years ago, and the change in my life was so dramatic, so radical, really, that people began to ask me, what happened to you, basically. And so the work that I offer, inquiry, comes out of that experience. And so I've been doing this a while, and what's so powerful about it is anyone with an open mind can do this work, and we don't need a teacher. We don't need, once we learn the practice of just these, it's actually just inquiry involving 4 questions, and then it's, anyone can do it. But to get together to do it, to sit in the practice, it's a marvelous thing, and it changes lives, I'll say forever. I get great email, and, it's such a privilege to share this work.
With the people that attend these workshops with you, I'm sure that you see like a common theme that shows up when people are, coming to that greater space of freedom and realization. What are some of the aha moments that you've had personally, and maybe things that you've seen in the workshop? Because I know that people are, there's tons of reviews talking about how amazing you are in your work. And I just am curious of some of the things that just stand out for you.
The things that stand out for me, and it's just commonplace when we all sit in this. We are so absolutely positive about something, and I hear assumptions that people really believe so I would say beliefs, like he doesn't care about me, or no one cares about me, or there's something wrong with me, or I'll never get over this. You know, these assumptions that we make, or I'm going to lose my job, or I'll never find another job, or he left me, she left me. But these things we're absolutely convinced of, and our friends will tell us that it's true. But when we sit down to do this work, you know, like this upcoming event at Omega, for example, when we sit down together and do this work, question what we're believing, then the whole world shifts. It shifts, and by the whole world, I mean our own individual worlds as we sit in this practice shifts, and it happens so quickly and so radically. So I ask people to write some of their beliefs and assumptions down, and then people will volunteer to come sit with me. And as I sit with that person and we question the assumption or the belief, it belongs to all of us. You know, like, for example, Marianne, the beliefs that I just ran through, those at one time or another have belonged to us, or they will if they don't now. But yeah. they're universal beliefs, and we question those together as we sit in this practice, and it opens our mind in a way that, and actually, you know, we're really meditating on. We're just getting still and meditating on an assumption, for example, on something terrible is going to happen. And then we just ask, and there are 4 questions. The first question is it true something terrible is going to happen? And then can you absolutely know that it's true that something terrible is going to happen? And as we meditate on that, we just kind of flow into that third question. Notice how you react, and I'll ask your listeners this. Notice how you react, what happens when you believe the thought that something terrible is going to happen. And notice what happens emotionally. And notice those images of past and future in your mind's eye. Notice what happens, what the mind does, and those images that it shows you of past and future when you think the thought something terrible is going to happen. And then we come to understand as we witness that, as we get still in that, the cause of our emotions and why we feel the way we do. No matter how depressed or frightened, you know, there's a cause for that. And it's not a terrible world. It's what we're thinking, believing about the world that could use a little work. And then that last question, who would you be in the same situation right here, right now, without the thought something terrible is going to happen? And so we meditate on that. And then we hear from the audience, you know, their offering of what they see in the stillness with their eyes closed. And we can all hear the room and its movement. And it's like a shared space to meditate on. The cause of all suffering in the world is what we're thinking and believing. So this is the work we're doing. And then after those 4 questions, we meditate on, we just find an opposite, like something terrible is going to happen. So we look at that same situation that we're fearing, and then we look at it again with something wonderful is going to happen. And then we test it. We try it on like it's a new pair of shoes or something. When we're so convinced something terrible is going to happen, you know, something wonderful is going to happen, how could that be? And so we meditate on that. And it literally blows the mind, changes the way we see life. And so we're going to be doing that all weekend.
Oh, my gosh, that sounds like such a delicious exercise.
Oh,
and I love
it is. It's so beautiful. And people bring such deep running fears and grievances and resentments with them. And so we just take it all on. We take it all on.
Well, and your workshop is definitely the place to let that all go, you know.
Well, you know, it is just such a privilege to watch the courage of the people who attend these events and the people who just come just to sit in, you know, the stillness and get still in it. And to just realize another way of experiencing life.
Yeah. I can look back on my life, and a lot of what I would call upsets had a lot to do with misperceptions, not seeing things in a certain light. And it's interesting because no matter where you are in your journey, we still have those.
And
they just show up
different. Yeah. We're always going to have them. It's just, are we believing our thoughts? And if they're upsetting us, then this practice shows us how to question them. And and also it's free on thework.com. So it belongs to everyone whose mind is open to it. And we have a newsletter and a list of events on the website, and how to do the work. It's all free there. There's nothing like coming together at a place like Omega, where we're really just isolated in the beautiful surroundings, and all the great food is there, and we can just sit in this practice and get what we came for. And I don't mean just literally to Omega. I mean what we came for in this life.
Well, and it's so, I think being able to immerse yourself in a workshop such as the one you're having, where you can really be there, it's a safe space, you can go through and release all these things that have just been an upset throughout a lifetime. What a gift. What an amazing gift that is.
It truly is. And it's so fascinating. When this work found me, it was like smoking quit me, and things that were just habitual with me quit me, compulsive overeating quit me, and I didn't do anything. I just every time we question these thoughts that are causing our suffering, we begin to live out of a different consciousness, and we make clearer choices. So when people talk about enlightenment, it really takes on a whole new definition of freedom. It's something that I can't say concrete, but in the world, it really concrete effects. It really is freedom. So it just thrills me every time to watch people's lives change. And
what a great place to be in.
It is. What a wonderful world once we understand the nature of everything. Einstein said that there's only an unquestioned mind. I think it was Einstein. I'll just take whoever said it away. But an unquestioned life is not worth living.
Yeah.
And I have just we wonder why we're so hurt and sad or depressed, or why we do the things that we do. And so I just live my life saying there's another way, and anyone with an open mind can find that way.
Well, you've definitely been a living testament to being able to find another way and having it work for you. Because I know a lot of people, they may feel, and that's why workshops like yours, Loving What Is over at the Mega Institute, and of course there's still time to register for that, by the way. What I understand is that that is filling up pretty quick, so you don't want to wait. You want to go ahead and register for that at the Mega Institute.
I would hope anyone listening that is just considering it even slightly to register, and I'll see you there.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's so great to have these kind of workshops where people can go and really be a part of and really develop it. Like when I've attended workshops like this, you really develop a community. You get to know other people that are there, and that's part of the gift.
And the way we're so connected to the person that I'm actually working with, is sitting next to me in a chair when we're doing the work. My goodness, it bonds all of us. Not with just that one, but all of us together. We're all, it's just I guess, I get carried away with my work, but it's
well, thank goodness,
the real thing. Yeah, the real thing, and it's nothing I can take credit for because we're dealing with inquiry, and so the beautiful thing that frees us is what we tap into us, each of us individually, what we touch when we ask ourselves, is it true? And that's what frees us up. And that's exciting to know that we all have equal opportunity here and that what we're looking for is not outside of us but inside. Those are where the answers are. So it's a way to tap into that we're looking for the answers and we're walking around with them if we just get still enough to listen as we ask, is it true?
And I think that's got to be very comforting for people because, having the answers within us, it's not like, once you have that guidance to go and know how to search it, like you're going to be teaching at your workshop, how to ask the questions to get to that place. It's something that people can do on a regular basis on their own after the workshop as well, and really be able to sit in that space.
Yes, also I have a free helpline number that we don't ask who you are or where you live, nothing, and people can support you there on just how to do inquiry. In other words, you can just write down some come to the workshop and come to Omega and find out. But there's so much opportunity, as you say, and camaraderie and friendships that we make when we all get together like that.
It's just a beautiful event. I know that I'm looking at the calendar and trying to move things around so I can attend because I know that it's really a game changer, and I couldn't imagine not going. So,
that gathering, it's it's, as we've said, it's life changing.
Now, when you have this workshop, do you find often that you'll have people that have attended either the same workshop or different workshops, that they come to these again because they get something different every time? I'm sure you get that all the time.
Yes, people love to come back because it's a different consciousness every time you come. Like if you come this year, then next year when you come back, you're coming back out of a whole new mindset, out of a whole new identity. And so, we just drop in more deeply and deeply and deeper. And some people take it on as a daily practice. And some people will just come once a year and it'll shift their life and they come in for a little makeover once a year. What an odd expression to put in this context, but for a little refresher course, and it just sets us up for the whole year.
Well, and I couldn't agree with you more because the energy does change with different people you have attending different events. So it's interesting to just sit in that dynamic with other people, and you learn something different every time. Different questions will come up.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And some of the things that people bring up there, because it's such a safe space, everyone's safe in this space. Where it's just like that. But oh my goodness, some of the things, people are so courageous to bring up some of the things that they experience, the depressions that they've experienced, or the loss, or I know one year I was there and someone had just lost her daughter just like 48 hours before, and then it's just, but they know where to come to work through these things because the work works. It's not a game. It really works. At the same time, it can be hilarious, the things that people bring, and the laughter is as healing as tears. it's just so we certainly invite it all.
Yeah, all of that. Well, I can understand that because sometimes I think some of the experiences I've gone through is more like not really a Greek tragedy. It's something like a National Lampoon Vacation.
Some people say, I've never, I had wonderful parents and I never, was hurt or this traumatic thing happened in my life. But why am I so depressed, or why is life so dull to me? So, it's what I say is suffering is suffering. We don't have to have these major things that happen to us to have a happier life.
Yeah.
It's just suffering is suffering, and there is a way to take care of it. And the way is to tap those answers inside of us and to, just the practice of understanding how to do that. So,
yeah, what a gift that is. I know there's lots of exciting things coming up for you. I understand you have a book coming up, and I would be remiss not to talk about it because I can see people can pre-order on your website. And books always get me excited because I love reading. So,
I've heard that it's an amazing book, and I haven't put a book out in 10 years, and so I'm really excited about sharing it. And it's a mind at home in itself, and so that's a term that over the years I've used quite a bit, and so that's the title of the book, and it's where the mind is no longer at war with itself and how that works and how accessible that can be to for all of us. And it's reading it. I've heard people share that have looked at the pre-book that it's they relate to this wonderful world that's going on inside of them and in the world all the time that they have been seeing but they didn't see. And the book is that vivid, and it just wakes what I'm hearing from people is it just wakes them up to what's already going on, and that it's a very radical book to read. So I really am, I'm excited about it, and I'm recommending it simply because people who have looked at it at the pre-sales have given me all this feedback that is, I'm thrilled with the feedback, because these are people who have read my other books and have loved them. So it's exciting to offer this, another book again.
Oh yes, without a doubt, and your work is exciting all the way around. I mean, I feel that I've listened to a lot of the interviews that you have done and enjoyed some of your books, and you also have these great resources on your website that I'm always just blown away by, tools to do the work. I mean, there's like so much information there that people can dive into and learn more about what the work is and how they can use that in their daily lives. And of course, they should attend the event at Omega.
Yes. To sit in the practice.
Mm-hmm.
The website is a lot of fun, and it's you can go in there and browse, and anything that's valuable is free there without any strings attached. But the events, people, so many people just, we just come again and again and again. I mean, how free can we get? And to me, freedom looks like connection with everyone and everything, and that doesn't mean we have to have tea with everyone or even know each other's names, but to walk in the world, to live in the world connected to everyone and everything. I just want that for everyone, and it really is our birthright.
Oh, and what a beautiful place to be. Yeah. We're having that connection. Because it really, we can be in a place where we might not really agree with our neighbor, but we can still have that connection.
The connection, and be free to, and have a language, no matter no matter how narrow or broad our vocabulary, to have a way and an expression and the clarity of not being afraid to speak up, because the communication is so clear and out of harm, just connected, and nothing that can break that connection. I know that in my life, no matter how upset someone may be, or sad or happy, or anything, it doesn't. I'm connected, and it's a gift, and it's a gift that I just discovered inside, and it's such a guiding light. It's like an awareness that's on the loose, and nothing can stop it, and it's just so beautiful too.
Well, it allows us to offer this great sense of compassion for other people, regardless, where they are in their journey, what's going on with having that connection. Yes,
and not be afraid of another person's pain or joy. Mm-hmm. Just to celebrate and be with and support and serve.
Oh, so beautiful. Byron, Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here. Oh, it's such a joy to have you here. I just love you, love your energy.
Oh, thank you, Marianne. My words are a bit clumsy sometimes, but I am so happy to have had this time with you today, and all of you listeners. I look forward to those of you that can make it to Omega. I'm going to be there. That's my plan. And thank you again, Marianne.
Oh, thank you. And for those looking to attend Byron Katie's workshop, you can go to Omega Institute, and they have it listed there. You can also look at more of Byron Katie's information on her website at thework.com. We're going to pause here for a quick break, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
There comes a moment when you realize you're somewhere special, when you discover that each beautiful creature that you see has been rescued from a life of absolute horror and brought to this incredibly free place. Here's where their lives were forever changed, and where yours will as well. Discover over 500 tigers, bears, and lions at the brand new visitor center at the Wild Animal Sanctuary just outside Denver. For more information, visit wildanimalsanctuary.org. Discover true freedom at the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
Have you ever had the sense that your thoughts might actually be doing something? Ancient secrets of manifesting have been masterfully revealed in the award-winning book Manifesting 1-2-3 by Ken Elliott. For the first time, the author's experiences and stories in this book describe exactly how your thoughts can create anything. You've been doing this all your life, but it's never been fully explained for you until now. Visit manifesting123.com for more information today. Manifesting123.com.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074, 630-881-1074.
to Moments with Marianne. Our next guest is here today to talk to us about animal frequency. So Melissa Alvarez is a best-selling, award-winning author who has written over 10 books and nearly 500 articles on self-help, spirituality, and wellness. And she's here today to talk to us about her new book, Animal Frequency. So let's welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Melissa. What a joy it is to have you here now. I mean, my goodness. So you are like the go-to person. You've written, 10 books and hundreds of articles in regards to self-help, spirituality, and wellness. What inspired you to write Animal Frequency?
Well, I have a book out. It's 365 Ways to Raise Your Frequency. And one day I was standing in the stall, mucking it out, and I have always communicated with animals. And I got to thinking, I'm like, I do this a little differently than other people do. I really connect to the energy of the animal, and it's really taking it into the divine, and it's more of a spiritual connection than just, animal communication. It takes it a step above. And I'm like, maybe I should try to teach people how I do this, because it's a little different. And then I got the idea for the book, and that's how that all came about. And also because a lot of times animals will show up when you're not expecting them, and then you just keep seeing them at different places. And so, that's animal totems. I call them energy animals. But I wanted to be able to help people to understand when these animals show up, what kind of messages could they be giving to you?
Okay. Now, I know a lot of people talk about animal communication. Is that the same thing as animal frequency?
Animal communication is when you're connecting with the animal through telepathy, through sending pictures to the animal, like if you're training an animal, or if you want to get information from the animal, it's clairaudience, being able to listen to the animal. What animal frequency does, it's taking it to the next level. So say if I'm doing an animal communication session with an animal, but then I amp it up into animal frequency. What I do is I'll send my energy from the heart and from my mind, and I'll send my energy out like halfway between where I'm standing, where the animal is, or wherever. You don't have to be in person with the animal to do an animal frequency session. But I'll send it halfway, and then I request that if the animal wants to share their energy with me, to do so. And then when they do send the energy to you, the connection is it's very spiritual, and you get so much more information. It's almost like a merging of souls, it feels like sometimes. So it's taking animal communication to the next step and into the divine and the spirituality of it.
Okay, so if someone says, well, I think I get animal communication, I kind of do that, does someone need to be specially gifted to do animal frequency, or is that?
No, anybody can do it. Yeah, anybody can do it. It's knowing your own energy and sharing your energy with that of the animal. And you can request that they share their energy with you, but you have to wait for them to, it's a gift that they give to you. You have to wait for them to make that connection with you. And they will do that. And especially if they have messages that they want to deliver to you.
Okay. So, and then you talked a little bit earlier in regards to animal totems. So, so for our listeners who are kind of like, well, I'm kind of new to this and I'm excited to learn more about it, what's an animal totem and how is that different? Because I know we get into also spirit animals. How is that different?
Well, it's different names for what I think is the same thing. So, you may call them a totem, you may call them familiars, you may call them spirit animals. You're essentially talking about the spirit of that animal, and how they appear to you. I call them energy animals because I deal with energy and because animal frequency deals with energy. So, if you practice Wicca or any other, or if you deal with magic in any way, a lot of people who do that will call them familiars. Shamans will call them totems. So it's just different belief systems that uses different terminology basically for the same kinds of things.
Okay. And then, so like, what are some examples you can give us of, if we come across an animal, let's say, like where I live, there's coyotes all the time. They're actually pretty big here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. They're not, in California, they're a little small. I'm in Colorado. The coyotes must eat really well because they're big. So,
are they really?
Yeah. I have an 80-pound dog, and they're bigger than him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Those are big coyotes.
Those are big coyotes. So when we see, I'm just pulling up an example. I mean, if I live closer to the ocean, I would see like sand crabs all the time, and
Okay.
So when we see an animal that we see on a regular basis, and we'll use a coyote as an example.
Okay.
What would we derive from that?
Well, when a coyote shows up, and it really is telling you to look for the truth behind any kind of an illusion or pandemonium, you've got to seek out the truth of an issue. So if you're in a situation where you're not sure what's going on, there's questions, maybe you're at work and there's questions about things that are happening, and then all of a sudden you start seeing coyotes on TV and you hear about them on the radio and you dream about them, then that coyote is telling you you've got to look for the truth because everything may not be as it seems. It's also a sign to be more adaptable and to find balance in your life. And coyotes are clever, so it's telling you, okay, maybe this is a time when you need to be a little more clever or stealthy in how you're going about things to get to that truth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so we can take that information. I've had people tell me before, if you see a coyote, because sometimes I'll see it and it's caught something. Lord knows what that is. And it's running off with it, Probably a bunny.
Well, they have to eat too,
So. I've had people say, oh, that's a good sign or what have you because it has food in its mouth and it's kind of a thing. So with your animal frequency, I mean, when we're seeing these animals and we're getting that information, then we can apply it to our lives. So, and if we're seeing lots of different animals, are we getting lots of different messages, or do we just hone in on the ones that we're seeing like a lot?
Well, I mean, for me, anytime I see an animal and it grabs my attention and it makes me notice it, then I look for the message that animal is trying to send. Because you could be getting all kinds of messages from all kinds of different animals, but then again, you may have one that's just constant. And I think sometimes when you see them more and more and more and more and more, it's because you're not really listening and understanding what their message is. So they're not really going to go away until you get it. And once you get that message, then they'll go on and you won't be noticing them as much. One thing that I do in animal frequency, to go back to the coyote for a second, one of the other traits of a coyote is aggressiveness. It can be aggressive. It can also be reclusive. And those are challenges that you may face. So while the book will tell you the traits of the animal and some of the talents of the animal, I also give you what challenges may show up. So you can apply the message that they're giving to you in several different ways. And then I also tell, about the elements, the colors, what it means when they appear, and how it can assist you. I tell what I did to connect to their frequency is I would connect to the animal frequency when I was writing this book, and then I would tell in the section called frequency how that frequency, how their energy felt to me when I made the connection. And I put that in the book so hopefully it would help other people make the same kinds of connections. And then you also have an imagine section, which is like guided imagery to help the person do the connection with the animals. And you might get started with it, and then if your mind veers into something other than what I've written down here, that means that you're making the connection, and the animal is trying to lead you to what it wants to say to you.
Or that might mean we need to call and schedule an appointment with you to go ahead and figure out where we're getting.
Okay.
Yeah, because, and you know what, I've got to tell you, I mean, this is kind of it comes up to our next question here that I have for you. It's in regards to like our pets. Okay, so like I'm surrounded by, you know, my dog Maxwell. He's around me all the time. And so he's not big on speaking, but man, he says a lot with his eyes, you know?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so when we have pets at home, what kind of, are we receiving, you know, animal frequency from them? Are we giving them, you know, information as well? How can we really understand what they're trying to tell us?
Well, it's through the connection that you have. Now, with your pets, even if you don't realize that you're doing it, everybody who has a pet is participating in some kind of animal communication with that pet, because there's lots of times that you just know what that pet's thinking, or you just feel what's happening with them and you understand them. When you take it to animal frequency, when you make that concentrated effort to go to the area of the divine with them, that's a more special connection. And you can do it without even realizing it. We had a Dalmatian years ago, and we had the male and we had the female, and they took off one day, and we lived way out in the country, and they just left. And for 3 weeks, we looked for these dogs, and I just gave up. I'm like, they're not going to come back, you know, and even though I searched and we looked there, just couldn't find them anymore. And then one day, the male came back, and I remember just grabbing him and hugging him, and I was so happy. And that was really the first time that I noticed this connection is different, because it was just such a pure, streaming sharing of energy that was just so full of love and relief, and I can't believe you're back, you know, that kind of thing. And I think with our pets that it's always there, and it's up to us as pet owners that we can take it up to the next level, you know. But anybody who has a pet, you look in their eyes and you know, it's like, you just get the vibe. I have a horse here that, when I first clipped him as a foal, he started just like prancing around in the cross ties, and I heard in my mind, it's hot, it's hot, it's hot. And I touched the clippers, and they were indeed hot, you know, and I'm like, they're not that hot, they're not hot, they're just a little warm. And I had to end up changing out 3 clipper blades, because every time it started getting warm, he'd start dancing around, and I would hear, it's hot, it's hot. Yeah, so, you know, and he's a character, man, but yeah, they'll send you pictures back, they'll communicate with you. If you're clairaudient, they'll speak to you, and you can, you know, I can hear them, you know. But it's there. It's part of owning a pet, so
it's just part of the whole package. Now,
yeah.
I know you talk about energy animals. I want to get into that a little bit. Now, if I have a goldfish, is that automatically my energy animal, or how does that work?
Well, I call all animals energy animals, because they all are it's like using the same word as totem or familiar. My word that I use is energy animals, because I deal with energy. So whenever, you know, regardless of what you call them, whenever they show up, and repeatedly, that's when you know they have a message for you. So it may be a goldfish. You may have a goldfish, and you notice, you know, maybe you're sitting at your desk one day, and the goldfish is staring you down. You know, and it's like that.
Isn't that what they do, right?
But, yeah, it's like, but you know, goldfish, sometimes they'll be, you know, they just wander around in the water. They don't really, like, stare at you. But if it's enough for you to go, why are you looking at me like that? Then you're feeling that connection that they're trying to get across, you know. When they're trying to get a message to you, and when animal frequency is going to come into play, you feel it in your own energy. It feels like more, like there's more to this than just a bird flying by, you know?
Yeah, it's a little bit. You feel that intenseness with them.
Exactly, and it can be very unnerving sometimes. When I was writing this book, every animal under the sun showed up at my farm, and I had this one red-tailed hawk that he would sit on the post, and I'd go to a different paddock to clean, because I clean our paddocks up, and I would go to a different paddock. He would fly over to the other one, and then I had forgotten about him, and I had seen him like 3 times during that morning. And then I'm cleaning one paddock, and I turned around, and it's sitting on a branch about 4 foot away from me, and I was like, oh, my gosh. I'm like, okay, I get it, dude. Just can back up a little bit here. So when they have messages, they'll make sure that you know that they're there, and they'll be able to it makes you aware. And when your awareness increases, that's when you can tap into the frequency and the energy between the two of you.
Okay. Well, sometimes when I'm meditating or even dreaming, I'll have certain animals that pop up. And it just is interesting, especially when I'm doing a meditation, because I let things just kind of go so freely, and whatever shows up, shows up. So, are those messages as well that we should pay attention to?
You should definitely pay attention to those, definitely, because they're trying to connect with you, and it's easier for them. It's just like when Spirit tries to contact you, or of your angels or your guides. It's always easier when you're asleep, or when you're, falling asleep or waking up, or when you're meditating, because you've got your barriers down. And, that they have to work harder to contact you when, everything's blocked and you're busy and going about your day. But when you're relaxing, then they can connect with you better.
Okay. And not to really judge what we get, because I know sometimes there have been people when I've been in workshops or whatever, and they do meditations, and someone would be like, "Oh, I saw a white buffalo," and the person next to me is like, "Well, I saw an ant. This is not cool."
Well, so an ant may just be saying you need to work a little harder and in a more organized format, where the buffalo could be saying you need a little more space, So it just depends on what's going on in that person's life, and everybody's not going to see the same animal all the time, and just like a wolf, a lot of people love wolves, but you might end up with an earthworm, it just depends on what the message is at the moment. You see what I mean? And it can come and go. Energy animals, you've got some that might be with you your whole life. Like for me, that's a horse. And then you've got some, like that red-tailed hawk that wanted me to say something in the book, and he just followed me around until I'm like, okay, I got you. You'll be in the book. Don't worry. So I included hawk, so it just varies,
Is that how this kind of happened on your journey? Either these animals would present themselves to you in one, either in dream state or in real life, and then they had a message for you that got them in the book, like the
a lot of them, yes.
Like that's and talk, So.
Right. Well, one of the things, too, is when I was writing this book, there were so many different, we had a gator show up here, and I live in Florida, so, there's going to be gators. But this gator just hung out in our canal for weeks, and I'm like, you have to leave. And he wouldn't leave, and I was a little worried because I have 2 miniature horses that are only 29 inches tall, and he was behind their pen. So, I started locking them down at night because, gators can crawl over a fence, and I know they get hungry, and I didn't want them to eat my horses. So, but eventually I ended up having to call the gator control people to come out, and they couldn't catch the gator. So finally I'm like, look, if you don't leave, they're going to come out here and they're going to shoot you, and I really don't want anything to happen to you because they try to relocate them first. Yeah. And after I went out there, and I just spent about 10 minutes on the bank of the canal, and I just sending the energy and sending the frequency and asking, please cooperate with me because I don't want anything to happen to you. And anyway, never saw him again. So I don't know. He left. Right? I guess he finally got the message.
He's like, well, no horse on the appetizer list, but I don't want to be on one either.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's just interesting. So what would you say would be the most interesting, of all the animals that connected with you and during the time that you're writing this book, what was one of the ones that really stood out?
Well, really that gator and the hog. And then I had a snake here that showed up, and I would just walk out and just run my hand down her back. It was a black snake. And she would sun herself here, and I would run my hand down her back, and she wouldn't move. She just stayed there and let me pet her. Now, what wild snake is going to let you pet her? And I ended up naming her Ellie. And, and she stayed around the whole time. And then once I finished the snake passages and everything, she left. And I'm like, that was pretty interesting because, they show up to make sure that I know what they want to say. And one really cool thing about when I was writing this book is because I'm intuitive. And a lot of times I would just, pretty much every time, I would just tune into the animal, connect with the energy, and say, what do you have to say to everybody? So a lot of times people will be like, oh, what's this, what's that? I'm like, well, honestly, I don't remember every detail about it because I'm like a vessel and it flows through me. That's with any kind of readings. It flows through me. I deliver the message and then it's gone. But with the animals, I made sure to say, we really like to remember more of this than I usually do, but it's a lot of information in this book. I mean, an extremely large amount of information. And I have to thank the animals for that, for providing all that information to me. So. Well,
and I know in your book you talk about even some mystical creatures. How did that get interwoven in with the wild animals and the domestic guys? How'd that get in there?
Well, because people love dragons, and what's the history of dragons, and what does a phoenix mean? These are still animals, and people still encounter them, and even though they're not one that you may see in the wild or one that you may see, in your backyard, they still have a form of existence. And because they are in existence, whether in legend or tales or whatever, and they're still animals, they still have messages that they can deliver. So like if a phoenix appears to you in a dream and then you see one on TV in an ad, that's telling you maybe this is time for you. It's a time of renewal for you. Maybe it's a time to let go of the old and start anew and to take a look at what's going on with you. So because I felt that they had messages, I wanted to include them as well in the book. So
when you were doing the mystical creatures like the dragons and phoenix, which one was like the coolest one that you came across?
Okay, so I would have to say Schlettner, which is the 8-legged black horse. Because that was the horse that was used to take, oh my gosh, I'm skipped the king's name, from Asgard. It's from the Thor mythology, from Asgard to look for Vikings who had passed away. And it was just such a strong image of that horse. And I would dream about the horse, and I would see it moving around and telling you to look for what is lost. And then my Frisian stallion hadn't been here for a while. He had been out in training, and then he came home. So I ended up taking a picture of my Frisian stallion, who was not lost, but he wasn't home. And I took a picture of him, and I made that into the picture of the Sleipnir for the oracle cards that I came up with. And so I just gave him 8 legs. But that one was very impressive to me. It was just because of the strength of the dreams, and not that I saw it anywhere else. It was primarily in dreams, but it kept coming to me in dreams, and I'm like, okay, I get this. So
yeah, it's like, okay, well, we need to get this taken care of. So I know you have, now the oracle cards, are those kind of people can use those kind of standalone? I know the book has such great information. I would think you use both together.
You can use them both together for sure. I designed the oracle cards because I know a lot of people love oracle cards, and I thought if I can come up with images that kind of show the energy that I'm trying to relate in the book, then maybe this is something that people will enjoy using. And you use them like a standard oracle card deck. You can do a 3-card spread, 5-card spread. You can follow the tarot spreads if you want. You can do a one-card draw. And on each card, I have an image of the animal, and underneath I have descriptions, the traits and the challenges of that animal. So it's right there in front of you, and you can read what it is when you do the card draw. But if you want more in-depth information, because you only have so much space on the tiny little card, then you go to the book, and the book gives you, it's 2 pages per animal of really in-depth information.
Okay. So then let's say someone has a pet at home. Okay. And they are getting like nothing from their, let's say they have a dog and they're getting nothing from it other than all, they're trying to communicate with their pet, not getting anything. Now, do you do sessions where people can contact you and schedule up times to talk with you about their pet? How do you do that? Because I know you're really busy. You got a lot of stuff going on.
I do. I will. Okay, I have on my website where people can order animal frequency sessions. Right now, I have that turned off, though, simply because I'm under a tight deadline for another book with Llewellyn. Over the next 2 years, I'm going to have, this is the first of 4 books that are coming out with Llewellyn, and I'm finishing up the 4th one now. So once that's handed in, then I will probably turn that back on, so that people can order readings and sessions with me again. But right now, it's foaling season coming up. I have a book due, and it's just kind of crazy here. So I'm not doing readings right now. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I have to finish the book before the first baby's born because I've got 3 foals coming between the end of April and the middle of June. So,
you're going to be super busy.
Yeah, well, if I can get the book finished by then, my due date is May 1st, so it's got to be in by then anyway. So I want to get the book in first, and then maybe a little early. I like handing things in early, so, and then we'll see what the babies are, so, which is interesting.
That will be cool. So, so I know this book just came out, Animal Frequency.
Right.
People can pick that up. It's available at all major retailers and, of course, on Amazon. And
You can pre-order on Amazon. It's available right now on Llewellyn as a new release. It'll be released on March 8th, which is next Wednesday, on Amazon. But I know that if you pre-order it, Amazon's already shipping it. So you can get it now, and it'll be to you by the time the release date is actually March 8th.
Okay. And then where can our listeners connect with you? Is that at melissa.a.com?
That's my website. They can also go to animalfrequency.com. That's where I sell the oracle cards there. You can find me on Facebook. It's Melissa Alvarez and then Ariana Dupree. It's all one word because I set that up when I was also writing fiction, which I really don't have time for anymore. So, but you can find me there.
Super busy.
I've been very busy couple of years here.
Hey, that's a good problem to have. Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us today. We really appreciate it, and especially being able to talk to us about animal frequency. I mean, this is a great reference book, and I mean, I found myself kind of going in and looking at different animals that I've just kind of come across my path to see what messages that they have for me.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I hope I did all the animals justice in the book, and I hope that people find that it's something that they'll want to keep on their library shelves. I tried to make it a reference that people would want to refer back to, so
it's a great
hopefully it does its job. Thank you so much.
It does. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to tune in today. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne. And remember, make every moment count.
Join us next time for Moments with Marianne, when host Marianne Pestana brings another inspirational gifted leader to help us grow. Tune in every second Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Moments with Marianne, when the Dream Vision 7 radio network is at 1510 a.m. Boston. Or catch Moments with Marianne every Thursday and Friday at 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern Time by going to dreamvision7radio.com. To learn how Marianne started her business from the ground up, visit mariannepestana.com. Don't miss this. And remember, make every moment count.